guys, we're trying something a little new this week. First off, I'm standing instead of sitting, very exciting. Second off, I'm trying to post a little later just so that you don't have quite as many assignments coming in all at once Monday morning. I'm going to get you to do a survey afterwards to see if you like this better or if you would prefer it to be posted on Monday morning. So anyway, great thing is nothing new this week. We're going to practice the two main things that we learned last week. So if you did not watch the videos from last week, you want to go back and watch those. I'm just going to do a quick recap, but those go into detail. You also really need the notes to reference. Okay, so here are three different types of equations, okay? If you remember, this is called absolute value. This one is radical or square root function. And this guy, quadratic. All right, so the main thing you have to remember, let me grab my markers, is that if there's a negative sign in front, so if you have a negative in front, the way we do here, that means that our entire graph, instead of going this way, is going to flip down and go that way. Or if it's quadratic, instead of going this way, it flips down. So if there's a negative in front, the entire graph flips, meaning every single point would, however many up it is from the x-axis, would go that many down from the x-axis. For example, if you had a graph like this, if you had these 3 points, okay, then when the negative is in front, it flips down. So since this one is above, it goes below, this one goes down here, and this one goes down here, and that's how it would reflect, okay? That's the negative in front. So the negative in front reflects down, which is over the x-axis, okay? If there's a number inside, wherever the x is, inside. So inside with the x, that's a left and right shift, okay? So if the number inside is negative, it moves to the right. So this would go right 2 spaces. If the number inside is positive, it would go left. Did I say that right? Yeah. The number at the end here, this is a number outside. So whenever you hear me say outside, that's what I mean. That it's not inside with the x, but it's outside by itself at the end. That goes up and down, and since it's positive, this one goes up 5 spaces. Okay, next one. There's no negative in front, so it doesn't flip. Inside of here, there is a number, so positive goes left, and that would mean that you would take the point, the green point, and drag it left. And there's a number out here, and it's negative, so that would go down. Okay, this does have a negative in front, so that means that the graph would flip down or reflect down. Reflect over the x-axis. Okay, there's a number inside with the x, and it's positive, so that goes left 5. And there's no number outside here, so that means it does not shift up or down. Okay, one other thing to review, and then that's it, and you're going to practice. Okay. So when we're given a function, the first thing we always want to do is write it in standard form. That's true all the time. Standard form goes from the highest exponent first. So I just rewrite it on my paper, and I look here, this has the highest exponent, and the sign in front is negative. So I'm going to put negative x to the third. This has the next highest, that's positive 3x squared. The next one would be negative 4x, because the exponent, if there's no number there, is a 1. And then the 6 goes at the end. That's called the constant because it has no variable with it, meaning that there's nothing, so the exponent would be 0. Okay, now let's label all the important things. First thing is, what's the degree of the polynomial? The degree is the highest exponent. So the degree is 3. The next thing is, what's the leading term? So the leading term is the entire term in front. So the leading term is negative x to the third. But the leading coefficient is only the number in front of the leading term. Coefficient. Okay, well, what number is in front here? It's not an x. If there's nothing there, it's a 1. So I put that 1 in. Okay, you can put it here too. So that means my leading coefficient is negative 1. Okay, last thing is, what is the y-intercept? Well, if you remember, the y-intercept is always the number at the end by itself. So the y-intercept is going to be the 6. So the y-intercept would be 6, meaning it would cross the y-axis at 6. Okay, since the degree is 3, it's probably going to take 2 turns because it's always 1 less than the degree. Last thing is, how do we tell things about it? So, even or odd function. The degree, excuse me. If the degree is odd, that means the left side and the right side go in different directions. So this one's going down, that one's going up. I always call that the disco, okay? So disco is a really odd period in American music, and the disco, Saturday Night Fever, okay? Opposite directions. So down and up, that's odd, okay? If they were going the same direction, so that would look like this, let's say, and then they're both going down or both going up, that would be even. Okay, so if they're going the same direction, it's even, different directions is odd. The next thing is, one thing you can look at is the degree, so how many turns does it take? It takes 1 turn right here. This is a maxima, a relative maxima or maximum. This is a relative minimum because it's at a bottom of a U, that's the top. Here's a relative maximum because it's at the top of a U. Here it's at the bottom of a U, so it's a relative minimum. So there's 2 relative minimums here, 2 relative maximums, 4 relative extrema. So the extrema is all of that together, okay? So this would have 4 relative extrema, 2 relative max, 2 relative min, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 zeros, or you can call them solutions, or you can call them roots, okay? That's all the important stuff that you need to know. Have fun practicing some more, and I'll see you on Wednesday with some new stuff.